I went to work at an agency that a friend of mine was running and did some great projects for the Wrigley family, worked with Oprah's photographers, the Billy Graham Foundation. And then I really thought it was important to bring it to the consumer.
You go back in time.
Yeah, people are really surprised that, when we show them the digital archive and the foldering involved and the tagging of the photos. And my client's father was a bombardier over Japan, and he came back and went to school on the GI Bill. He wrote her a love letter every day they were apart, and there were about 3,000 pages that I digitized for them. And that's the story of how the family started.
Yeah. Two Thanksgivings ago, we found love letters for my grandparents.
Oh, great.
Don't be careful reading those. That's all I'm going to say.
The Love Local Chicagoland podcast is made possible with the generous support of our community partners. Thank you.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jason here with the Love Local Chicagoland podcast. I'm here today to talk about legacy and why it matters, my friends, with John Doherty of the Family Album, my friends. Life's short and moments in time are gone in a minute. And this man that we're going to talk about why that's important to capture our stories and to keep them from generation to generation. But we're going to talk about how you could get that done and how you could digitize all the pictures you have. You could digitize love letters that you have for your family because legacy is important. And memories of the people that have passed are important, my friends. Generations come and generations go. We are not going to remember past generations. It is a proven thing, just like they're not going to remember us. So maybe we could prolong that a little bit with what we'll talk about today with John Doherty. But enough of me talking. Let me introduce you to John Doherty. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Jason. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to do this, man. Me and you, we've known each other probably for 2 years now, I guess. But I feel like I've had a list of people I want to podcast for quite some time, and it was more like the right time to really kind of put what we wanted to do with Love Local into place. But to talk to you, to get your story out there, but also to just talk about legacy and how your company has a solution to at least procure the legacy a little bit. Procure, I can't talk a little bit longer. Which talking with you before, that's an important thing, right? But before we dive in too much, I just want to give people a high-level overview of who is John.
I'm a longtime Chicagoan. I grew up on the south side and moved up to the northwest suburbs after getting married. I spent 25 years in the financial world of trading on the floor and then managing money. And I wanted, after retiring from there, I wanted to do something special, make an impact. And I've always been a big fan of history. And, the old, if you don't know history, we're condemned to repeat it. And so I love stories. I love the
Probably
stories.
Still going to repeat it, but yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I went to work at an agency that a friend of mine was running and did some great projects for the Wrigley family, worked with Oprah's photographers, the Billy Graham Foundation. And then I really thought it was important to bring it to the consumer. And my buddy didn't want to do the consumer, so I said, I'm going to go out and do it myself. So I started the Family Album Company in Palatine from my home. And I've been digitizing and saving memories, family stories ever since. It's been a great journey.
Yeah. Why did you, what was the gut feeling? Why this business? You could open up anything. What was the reason why?
Well, what happened was in 1999, I lost my mom. And at the time, my children were 7, 5, and 2. And I remember being at the funeral, and we were saying our final goodbyes to my mom at the casket. And I'm the youngest of 7, so I'm always last. Mm-hmm. And my family and my siblings and my nieces and nephews went through the line, and the only people left was my daughters and my wife went up to the casket. They said a prayer, went away, and then my son was standing there next to my father. My father reached down and took my son's hand and said, Matt, I wish you could have known her. She was an amazing woman. And that hit me right in the chest. Wow, he's really not going to remember. I'm the youngest of 7, and he's the youngest of 19 grandchildren. And even my daughters, don't have the greatest memories because, they were so young. So I said, I got to figure out how to save this stuff. I digitized as much as I could find. And then when I got in this business, I said, I got to open up that drive, and it literally went up in smoke because it was basically a metal record player, and the needle stuck and scratched the entire thing.
Yeah. Wow.
So I started from scratch, and I realized there was a need for this. There's so many opportunities to use your memories to bring comfort to loved ones and really inspire the next generations to come that I felt it's so important.
Yeah, I'm a dreamer, but when you talk about like making sure you have this stuff kept, and you're talking about past generations, you're talking about your mom, like for me, I think about keeping people's spirits alive, and you could do that through photos, because photos they tell a story,
absolutely.
And media in general could help tell a story, and they can help you take you back to like a simpler time. And I know something for me, I have a video that I have of our wedding of my grandfather speaking, and I don't have anything else of him speaking, but I have a video of it, and that's the only thing that I have that kind of goes back to like his voice, his mannerisms, those things. And I can't tell you, like, it's important because, you talked about it, like your kids need to know your mom, they need to know your grandma and maybe somebody else's journey or their father, or maybe your kids need to know that down the road, but to really help curate the stories from the past to help live us better lives. I think can help, because to me, like, the foundation of all this is like family, it's friends, it's memories, and it's keeping those, because like we all know, like, things could happen. You could lose those. I think about the pictures I've lost over the time, and it's there's so many that are there now, and now they're all here, right? Like, what's your thoughts on this? This ain't really anything. Like, I feel like they just get lost in here, right?
Well, that's the problem, and we're rolling out that service this year. I like to build what I call living digital archives.
Yeah.
So I digitize all your old memories and the videos, and I bring them up to current. And then I'll be taking your phones, your tablets, all those little memory cards, and we have stuff all over the place who've grown up in the last 25 years of digital. And we're going to compile that into your archive.
Awesome.
Because we estimate there's about half the photos on your phones are duplicates.
Sure.
So we'll be running processes to get rid of all the duplicates, freeing up space on your phones. And then it truly will be a living digital archive through time that you can keep dumping into in order to grow it over years. You had mentioned remembering things. I had a client recently, and I try sharing stories when I speak in front of a lot of groups throughout Chicago, and I take them on a family road trip. But one of the stories that's not in that speech is a woman had me digitizing her photos. She lost her husband about a year ago, and they were married for 60-some years. And she had a video of him speaking at their wedding. And she just wanted that done. And she said to me, we never realize how important our lives were until someone's taken away, and all we have is the memory. Yeah. And I thought that was just really a great way to put it. Yeah. And it felt great to bring her such great comfort, because now she can sit there and watch it, and she loved them so much, and they had a long life together.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story. You sparked something that made me think about something. But people talk about, I don't need to digitize. I don't need to, pictures are pictures. Social media and stuff like this. I'm like, well, for one, what about past generation and curating that so that it's good for tomorrow for future generations within your family lines. But like, people need to realize, like, social media is a rented space. Like, MySpace ain't here anymore. What if you put your pictures on MySpace? You're screwed.
Exactly.
Facebook could be that same thing as we continue to evolve, or Instagram, or any of them, right?
Absolutely.
So, but you're at the same time, you're still not getting what you're getting, how you're kind of putting it all in one stop. I mean, Facebook could tell you the story of your life, but they can't keep the specific pieces or the specific videos or pictures, not pieces, or videos that have been in the past where you just know where they're at. That's a huge piece of the problem you solve for. You make that simple for people, right? You go back in time.
Yeah, people are really surprised that, when we show them the digital archive and the foldering involved and the tagging of the photos, and they can just sit there with the iPad and go through all their photos. And the practical aspect of it is in memory care for as generations get older. old photos are a huge part of memory care.
Yeah.
And you can look at you can give a loved one an iPad, and the picture's blown up, and we scan at a high resolution, so they look great, and they can scroll through them, and it brings them comfort when they're going through really a tough time.
Yeah.
So there is practical applications to this.
Yeah, that's to me that's very practical. I mean, both of them are practical, but that's very practical, especially as people we're big in the Alzheimer's community. With LMJs, we both support them, and they work with memory care places. And I look at that, and it's like you're able to take somebody back to their childhood, right off of this. And I go back to that's just important. It's really important to make sure we steward this generation and take care of this generation that's here in a way that helps them live longer by helping them keep their stories alive in a digital way. What are some stories that you have, and maybe it's in memory care, what are some stories you have of hey, this is reasons why people should get their pictures and media digitized?
I'll touch on the 3 stories I talk about in my speeches. First one was I had a client in the late stage of Lou Gehrig's disease, and
so it's like an ALS type thing, right?
Yeah. And all he could do was blink his eyes. He had his partner for so many years. She sold the house to get a 1-bedroom condo. It was basically a hospital room. And I was able to go through their archive. His parents were Holocaust survivors, and went all the way back to the 1890s. And I provided them about 10 hours of slideshows and videos that he could watch all day, because his caregivers would come in and his partner would go out to the store, and they would just put on whatever they wanted on TV, and he couldn't do anything about it. And he was very sad, and she could tell. And so that was one case that was incredible. I actually have trouble getting through the speech when I'm telling the story because it was so emotional when I delivered it to them. And then there was another couple who downsized from a 4-bedroom home to a ranch. And they had 5 bins full of videotapes, and there was a total of 182 VHS and camcorder tapes. Their 3 kids were all performers, and he videotaped every performance from 3rd grade on. Mm-hmm. But his wife was like, I don't have space for these 5 bins anymore. We have to do something. So we digitized them, put it on a thumb drive, and made copies for each of the children. And she hung them on a Christmas tree and told the kids, go get your gifts. They're on the tree. Aww. And then the final story is a love story from post-World War II. My client's father was a bombardier over Japan, and he came back and went to school on the GI Bill in central Illinois. His girlfriend at the time was still in the city. He wrote her, and this is great for Valentine's Day, he wrote her a love letter every day they were apart. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there were 2 letters a day, and once in a while there were 3 letters a day, and she kept every single one of them in the envelope because he would write on the flap. He would write a little note to them or draw a picture saying how much he loved her. Yeah, and there were about 3,000 pages that I digitized for them. And that's the story of how the family started.
Yeah, totally.
So the next generations are going to know where they came from.
Yeah, it's so important. It's I'll ask you afterwards. I think my family needs your service because two Thanksgivings ago, we found love letters for my grandparents.
Oh, great!
Don't be careful reading those. That's all I'm going to say. We got some one that. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I wanted this digitized. Maybe just not right up in my face. We'll do the other ones. But it was my grandpa was he was 2 years older than my grandma, so my grandma was still in high school and he was serving in the war in Korea, and he was writing her love letters, and he wrote her a love letter that was talking about. When he gets home from leave, he's going to hurt her back. And I'm like, no.
Jeez.
So put that one when you do it for our family, put it towards the back because I don't want to see that one. But it was more of like, well, that's real, that's human, that's that to your point. As far as I know, that's the start of our family, you know, and it's important to keep memories alive. I think I've always been that way since a kid because it's like it's kind of all we have when we look at the end of the day, you know.
Right.
You talk about, you know, people with memory care, like. And going through those things and having pictures, like that's hard, like a hard part of life. And that could happen to any of us. So to have things digitized that could help us bring memories back, whether it's us going through that or another family member, I think are so important. We talked about downsizing. So like, what do you see when people are downsizing overall? Like, are they coming to you? They want like, is it pictures or what are they coming to you for?
Frequently, maybe grandma or grandpa are moving, or they're moving themselves, they're downsizing, and they have inherited boxes and bins of the old photos. And pictures are still in frames, pictures are in scrapbooks, and my team can go through and sort things better and quicker than the individuals who have these photos because you get caught up looking at everything. And it takes a long time, and people are really intimidated by even starting. So I usually just get all the bins and boxes of photos and film and slides and negatives, and we take everything apart. We sort it for them. Luckily, back in the day, people wrote a lot on the back of photos, and that's really good clues for us. It's like doing a puzzle without actually having a picture. We can ask a few questions, but frequently they don't even know them. So they'll just hand us everything, and we go through the process of building an archive, and through that they can relive their story of their family. We put everything on a thumb drive, and some clients are like, I don't need anything back. You know, we don't have room for it, so they just get rid of it. But they back it up. We tell them back it up on an external hard drive, put it in the cloud, put it on your thumb drive. You know, try having multiple places that's backed up, and it's there forever. It's going to be there for when you need it, and future generations will know where they came from.
Yeah. Imagine within that, like if you could have the pictures, but then give like words of wisdom from past generations too, because we're different, we evolve, but like things as human kind of repeat themselves in some way. Same. You have to overcome struggles. You have to go through things. You have great memories. You have, weddings. You have birthdays. Those types of things that are memories you can never go back to if you don't have those pictures. I can't help but to think about like people losing those. Like if I went home today and there was, God forbid, a fire, and I like lost the pictures of my grandfather or my grandmother, like I would be devastated. So what's your advice to people like are maybe on the fence or maybe just need to get it done? Like, because I mean, you see what happened in California now. Like shit happens, right? Yeah. So what's your advice on those things, and what should people be thinking about to make sure they make the right decision?
It doesn't have to be that way. It's kind of like I'm selling insurance for your history. Those photos, the news reports coming out of California and LA in the past couple of weeks have just been heartbreaking. There was a clip of firefighters carrying a grandfather clock out, sideways, and inside of it was all the family albums. And so people are literally having firefighters go into homes to save these photos.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What is more valuable that you're going to send another person into a burning building to get? There's stories at the fires in Northern California a year ago. People were saying, I lost everything. Literally, I lost all my memories. And it's really not expensive to digitize your family memories, and you don't have to live through that. It's just, as someone who does this is my passion, it was just heartbreaking watching these stories because these, someone said I was having coffee at 9 o'clock, and by 9:20 the sky was black and we were evacuating. You don't have time to grab things. There's pictures of like Dennis Quaid was packing his car with stuff. There's a picture of a guy at Malibu who had his pictures out on the driveway because he thought it was over, and the next day everything was gone.
Yeah, it's so sad.
So I'm really trying to speak as much as I can to groups to get this message across that let's us take care of you.
Sure. So like a family like mine is, my grandparents had 6 kids. So there's a lot of kids, and then there's a lot of grandkids and great grandkids now. How to make sure everybody can see these things, how does that work? How does that connection work? Is that
like my family videos are on YouTube,
yeah.
and I give my kids the password, and so wherever they are in the world, it's a private YouTube account, and it's free.
That's awesome.
So anywhere they are, they can see them. They're saved on YouTube. YouTube is going to be around, I assume, for a while.
So you take those pictures, you make them into a video, and then you put it on YouTube. So families, as long as YouTube's still around, which I don't think YouTube ain't going anywhere.
But you also store it on an
everything.
External hard drive.
Yeah.
Throw that in a safety deposit box.
Yeah.
You have thumb drives.
I think like people away though, like being on YouTube is smart because you could just get it's a private YouTube that the family has access to. That'll be there forever. So
there's other services also that you can put stuff on that specialize in memories and for families at different price points, things like that. But I tell you, Google Drive, you can store a lot on Google Drive for free.
Yeah.
So it's really about the backing up. And people, there's no reason. The technology is there now to do it. And AI is coming along that's making home videos better looking. We were just talking about that before we went on the air. And they're really a lot of fun to watch. I'll be doing a lot of social media in the coming months with clips of families watching their videos on TV.
That's awesome. That's like hits right at home for people, right? I think that's really, really smart. What you talk about it being on video. So do you put it to music? Do you put it do you paint a picture of what the products look like? Some of them.
I don't do any post processing at this point for videos.
Yeah.
It's the raw footage that you took with your camcorder, mostly with your camcorder.
Okay,
we
cool.
do reel-to-reel stuff also. We can digitize reel-to-reels. That stuff's all getting pretty brittle, so there is a time component to this. The clock is ticking.
How old does a picture last usually, year-wise?
A black and white photo will last a while. It'll fade a little bit, but it'll last. But the color stuff, after 30 years, it starts degrading, and video, like the VHS tubs, VHS and camcorders came along in the early 70s. So I'm starting to see some real degradation in the quality, and the tape is becoming brittle, so we do film repair. But it is getting to that point of no return. In fact, recently I posted on the Family Album Company Instagram page that the Archive of Australia, the National Archive, put out a warning to people about digitizing their VHS tapes and their camcorder tapes because they're going to be degrading so much in the coming years.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so do it now.
Right, yeah. The clock really, it really is ticking.
Yeah, it's not a sales pitch. It literally is true.
Yeah.
Like, we're getting older as we speak, so that goes hand in hand to that.
And storing them in a box in the musty basement or the garage or somewhere, that's not helping.
Yeah, right. So you're a busy man. You're obviously building the Family Album Company. Now you're speaking too. Talk to me about what sparked you to go out and speak and to start telling stories about what you're doing.
I figured it was the best way for me to reach the most people. Even if people don't use our service, they need to know that our memories are important. We stand on the shoulders of our ancestors, and that they are degrading, and we need to take care of this problem. So if I can go speak in front of a group of 5 people or 100 people, I'm spreading the word more. I'm kind of like the Pied Piper of family memories. And that's why I chose to train myself up with Engaging Speakers organization here in Schaumburg.
Awesome.
And they've really helped me develop my speech, and really it's an engaging, emotional journey to display how important it is that we save our family memories. But it's really about touching as many people as I can, even social media. You have to get to followers in order to see your stuff and tag. So my best plan now is to go and speak in front of as many groups as possible. So if anyone out there has groups looking for speakers, it's really a fun 30-minute talk, an emotional ride, and a lot of fun. It's a family road trip.
Yeah, clips. Those are great for clips too, for you to like, tell those stories as things continue to evolve, and you speak about other things, too. You're documenting your journey, in your own way. So I think that's really awesome. And it's smart too. I think Engaging Speakers is a great community. We were in it for a while. We talked about going back into it as a team. And I don't think I have the bandwidth to go there, but I've seen a lot of people win because they're speaking and they're getting out there, and a lot of people have learned the art of speaking because of Engaging Speakers. It sounds like you kind of been on that journey too.
Yeah, I've met some incredible people who have been just so supportive of me, like Alan Stern and Carolyn Litton and Scott Telema.
Yeah.
They're speakers themselves, and they're willing to help anyone who wants to learn.
Mr. AI, is that what you mean by Alan Stern?
Alan Stern, right? The heat method, bringing the heat.
Yeah, it's definitely, he's got a lot of energy for sure. But he gets it. I mean, it's about telling your story. To me, it's about telling your stories and giving impressions on social media for your business right now. If you do that in a tasteful sort of way where it hits on people's pain points, like you really could grow a thriving business now where 30 years ago, 20 years ago, you didn't really have that power to utilize this type of marketing channels, where now we could be everywhere in our sleep, which is it's kind of the goal of entrepreneurship is work harder, not smarter, right? So I think it's really smart how you're adding speaking to what you're doing, especially because it's making sure that you keep memories from the past there, but it's because they're good stories that are within all of that you keep for the family, so that I look at my family, I'm like, I'm really lucky my kids got to know my grandma, but if we don't do something about it, they're going to be the last generation that does. Isn't that kind of sad? So when you look at it that way, and I'm going to make my family listen to this because I think it's important.
Great.
It's about if we could carry more generations forward. I knew 4 generations total, right? If we could go back to 5 or 6 generations and see that person in your family that maybe had an impact or something like that, I think that would be pretty cool.
One of the things I like to tell people to do is when they have a loved one now who is getting up there in years, go through some albums with them and hear the stories. And a lot of people that age, they don't like to be videotaped.
Sure.
It's uncomfortable. So just put your phone on a table and put it on microphone and just let them talk.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to hear their voices, tell the actual stories, and you can save all that audio too as you're going through pictures. That is all can be put in your archive.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful to hear the stories that Grandpa's talking about of how he met Grandma, or how him and his buddies used to. Like my dad tells a story of going on a double date, and him and his buddy didn't have enough money, so they just had the girls they were dating have burgers and fries and shakes, and they sat there with no food because they didn't have any money. And then the girls didn't finish it, so they just said, "I'm starving," and they took it back. Those hard scrambled days are great stories, and put a little steel in your spine.
It's why life's tolerable, right? At the end of the day, is hearing stories like that. It's Carrie actually. My wife thought of this, but she's going to start interviewing her family, from the generations that might go as in the studio, and I'm like. Yes, and then I'm like, I want to interview my dad, but he's not going to come into the studio. It's just not live in Indiana. I know that. So I'm like, how am I going to do this? And I asked him, and it kind of kept put off. And, he was like, nobody wants to talk about themselves, right? But I was like, we FaceTime with him a lot. So I just started recording our conversations, and he has no clue, and he's not going to watch this. So everybody else might, but he won't. But
That's
it's because
priceless
those stories matter, And for him, he grew up in an orphanage. Life hasn't always been easy. He learned a lot through it. But he's a good man. He has a good heart. I want Charlie and Ruth, my kids, to know his story. I want their kids to know his story because, sometimes when you're born, you only see one perspective. So to see past perspectives, I think could be pretty healthy for families. At least I could say that for mine.
My mom is an immigrant, and she came here from Ireland when she was 18 alone on a boat. And she used to say, I threw up for 9 days.
That's some stories, right? Look at those stories that are there.
And we'd be complaining about, having to walk to school or something. And she's like, I was 18 and I came here to this country
Yeah.
to send money back to the farm, you know, and then my dad
Get back to work.
my dad grew up like next to the stockyards on the south side, and his treat was putting a potato on a stick over a flame. And these people
real.
and now their kids are doctors and lawyers and nurses and educators, and it's just amazing
Stories
stories.
matter, man. You know, my audience here, our audience here, Love Local Chicagoland, hears that all the time. Like, stories matter. Like, why we're putting all the energy into what we're doing is because stories matter. You believe stories matter. It's just a different service that you offer. But at the end of the day, there's stories behind pictures and just like we're saying, or a video podcast that you don't tell your dad about until after he's dead, you know.
Right. I mean, us small businesses really appreciate what you guys do here to get our stories out there.
It's important for us, you know. Our audience hears this, and I don't want to take the spotlight away from you, but it goes into this is like, if we just help our small businesses as neighbors. I came from corporate America. I didn't understand why you shop small. Maybe I was naive, but I think a lot of people are just from talking to them. We shop small as neighbors. If we don't go to that corporate brand for whatever that is, that franchise that is not located locally, or the owner does not live here locally, our money doesn't stay in our communities. But when you support our small businesses, your money stays here.
Yeah,
and us as small businesses, I think we all know each other. Not all know each other, but many of us know each other. There's a stewardship that comes into play as being a small business of like, who are we supporting with our nonprofits that are here locally in the business community? We're meeting those nonprofits. We're seeing people making an impact. So my goal with Love Local is like, can we bring the three together? The people of the community, the businesses, and the nonprofits through content creation, through storytelling. And can the people of the community start helping us small businesses a little bit more? And be more thoughtful instead of going on some app that could probably do that same thing that's not going to have the personal touch, that's going to be canned and not as good. Probably be cheaper because there's no heart in it. Let's just be real, right? Shop small. And the money's going to stay here. So it's very much a belief of mine. And it's a big reason why we named our studio Love Local, because if we just do that, like, we could have stronger communities. But they need to call us, John, is what I'm trying to say, as small businesses.
Absolutely.
So that we can do our part of giving back. What else do you want people to know about you? I know we're getting ready to wrap up here shortly, but is there anything that we haven't touched on that you think is important for our audience to know?
I think the important thing is when you hand over these precious memories that you have been entrusted with from previous generations, know that someone who thinks your story is as important as you do is handling it. I am not shipping it out to someone, to a warehouse. We are doing it all in-house with my team and people who care about what your story is and how important these pictures are. This could be the only picture you have of grandma or your parents. You know, and I restore pictures also. Pictures that, you know, might be damaged from care. I did it for a friend of mine. Her father's picture he was a Marine in Vietnam, and part of its hair was ripped off because someone stuck the picture somewhere, but we were able to restore it, and it looks awesome. Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
So we care. We care about your stuff as much as you do, and we'll protect it and be respectful of it, just as you would expect if you're doing it yourself. And that's important. And I don't understand why people would ever, and I know there's great success stories, but you want to be that one-off where the truck broke down or got split open on the highway and your stuff's gone. Yeah. There's no reason to ship your stuff, especially here in Chicago. We pick up and deliver anywhere in Chicagoland. I've gone down to Indianapolis for jobs, because we want to take care of your stuff, and we respect your stuff, and we care. That's the most important part. We care about your story.
That's why it's better to shop local.
Exactly.
We care. I'll say it, you don't have to. Corporations, there's no heart in it. You know, it's more about like ticker. You're the human with the vision behind this that built it. You care more as a small business owner.
I do.
Flat out. So I appreciate you sharing that. If people are looking to connect with you, where should they connect with you at?
You can go to my website, thefamilyalbumcompany.com, and there's a form there to get in touch with me, and I respond within 24 hours. And it's the first step is we just talk. You tell me what you have, what the next step should be. I have and then I can send you if you want to do it yourself. I have a 6-step process to go through, but it's all about getting it digitized somehow. And it's just a conversation, and we can start there, and you can tell me everything you have, who has it, and we'll go from there and build a great archive for you.
Beautiful. Well, awesome, man. And then you're on social too, Facebook, Instagram.
That's LinkedIn.
I think that's where I'm following you at. So, well, awesome, man. I really appreciate the conversation today, and keeping people's memories alive. I think that's important as we continue to go into this digital world. Like, this is this generation's job to make sure we get our past memories digitized so that we can carry them into the future.
Yeah, or we're going to lose them to the digital age.
We're going to lose them to the digital age, and these memories are gone. And shame on us because we had an opportunity to fix them. So I appreciate you, John. Keep doing your thing, man. Keep speaking. I'll see you out in the community, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Jason.
My friends, if you're looking to take your memories and photos from the past or videos, and you want to bring them into the future and have John's team digitize them, you're not going to go wrong. It's important for us to take care of the memories from generations before, because we want people to do the same for us. Pretty simple. And now in this time in history when everything's going digital, if we don't take care of the stuff that's been paper from past generations, we're going to lose those memories that mean so much from our parents or from our grandparents or anybody else. So don't do that. Call John and his team, and he'll take good care of you. Visit their website. My friends, I love doing this. I love telling stories. I truly, truly believe that stories matter, and they can help us connect and heal in our local communities. So let's keep doing that, and we'll keep doing that as well. Support local, love local. We're stronger together. Peace.